This to me was very deceiving. It was very deceitful because I had assumed this would be a gothic kind of scent, or slightly gothic. I am not the biggest fan of Lancôme Trésor perfumes. I like them on other people, but I don't really like them on myself in my chemistry. But because they're so highly venerated in the perfume world, in the fragrance world, I thought I might give it a go and see what they're about, especially La Nuit Trésor. That one is a classic, and I will have a review of that coming up soon. But I really wanted to try a few products in the Trésor line, in the Lancôme Trésor line, because they have quite a few different perfumes. And this one appealed to me because of the notes in it. This is the bottle here. I hope you guys can see it. So this, to me, I found a little bit deceitful. I found the advertising for this a little bit deceitful because I assumed that this would have a little darkness, a little edge. You know, I know it was going to be a gourmand. I knew it was going to be a gourmand. And I had assumed that it would have a little darkness because it's a midnight rose. And they have a dark rose on this, like as a decoration, as you can see. And even in the advertising, it was advertised a little bit, you know, with some darkness, a little kind of Lolita look, kind of gothic Lolita, you know, with Emma Watson. This was very this was a very 2010s fragrance, and very popular during that time, the 2010s, and it has stood the test of time as well and continued on into the 2020s. But it was kind of advertised as a modern, classic, elegant, slightly gothic, slightly feminine perfume. But I find that it does not live up to the midnight name. It's nighttime right now as I film this. I don't think they should have called this Midnight Rose. I think they should have called it something else, because to me, I would not wear this at night. I find this to be something that I would wear in the daytime. I think it's very lightweight. So when it comes to evening, nighttime perfumes, La Nuit Trésor definitely lives up to the hype, or lives up to its name of being the night, you know, La Nuit. But this midnight rose thing does not really live up to its name. I find it very refreshing and very fruity and sweet and gourmand. And because it's so refreshing and lightweight, I find it more appropriate for the daytime. Now, I also assumed this would be something I would like to wear in fall and autumn season, but when I sprayed this, I immediately just got a really refreshing kind of smell and a fruity edge, and I just couldn't help but think about spring with this. So this, to me, I would definitely wear in the spring seasons. I don't really see myself wearing this in fall. I don't really see myself wearing this in the winter season either. Yeah, so the packaging is kind of basic. Let me see here. It's just, I always find with these European perfumes and stuff, the packaging is kind of, you know, cheap, cheerful, basic, not the most elaborate packaging, like compared to the Middle Eastern fragrances where they really put a lot of effort into their packaging and their presentation. I think in this modern age now that a lot of the European perfume houses, unless they're a niche perfume, you know, if it's a mainstream perfume, they kind of just have, you know, cheaper kind of packaging. But I like the Lancôme La Nuit Tresor bottle a little bit more than this, of course, because it's like a diamond and all this. But this is nice, and it's very affordable, and it is one of the more affordable kind of Lancôme Trésor perfumes, I think. So if you're looking for something that's more on the affordable side, but is also classy and elegant, this is a good one. The reason why I don't really see myself purchasing this perfume again is it's a little too generic for me. I do find it a little too generic. And it has a good reputation within the fragrance community, but personally for myself, I find it to be a little too predictable. This is a very safe perfume. I would describe it as safe. It is very inoffensive, but it's, to me, it is too safe. It is too basic, a little bit too predictable. For myself personally, you know, it doesn't have a kind of unique edge to it. Not like La Nuit Trésor. La Nuit Trésor has a very like sensual, seductive vibe. It has a little darkness to it with its gourmand notes. It has gourmand and darkness, but this to me is just straight up gourmand. Refreshing, fruity gourmand, and a little bit of floral gourmand. So, Trésor Midnight Rose is a little predictable, a little basic, but I'm going to get into the pros of it. I'm going to get into the nice points about it, because I do see some good points in this perfume. So one of the highlights of this is that it is very elegant and feminine. And to me, like I described earlier, this is very straight up gourmand, classic gourmand. Not enough darkness. I know they say musk is in it and cedarwood, but I sprayed this last night to test it out and see if it would dry down to something a little more darker, a little more musky, just like how the La Nuit Trésor, it develops into something darker along the way as time goes on. But this is very much like pink pepper, and it's very berry, like fruity and sweet. And for the entire time, I said to myself, I would never, ever wear this at night. Never, because it's just something very refreshing, something very daytime. So I don't really understand the name. And another good point about this is that it is inoffensive to the point where you can wear it in a conservative setting if you're, you know, in an office, or if you are around a lot of people. This would be a safe perfume to wear. It won't cause any kind of issues, I would say, because it's such a lightweight perfume. It doesn't have a strong kind of projection or sillage, in my opinion. It's kind of lightweight, especially if you just spray a little as a hair mist or one spray at the back of your neck. It's not gonna do any damage. It's not gonna offend too many people because it's very refreshing and lightweight. And the kind of muskier notes, the musk and the cedarwood and the cassis, in my opinion, is very toned down in this one. So I'm gonna spray it now. What is another benefit of this? Feminine, ladylike, and classy. So that's why I was describing it as something for wedding season, like springtime wedding or something, summertime wedding, maybe. Because it is elegant and classy and feminine. This is good for brunch. This is good for afternoon tea with the girls, with the ladies. This is good for picnics, like very kind of feminine, kind of more classic or traditional events. Maybe those horse racing events or polo and stuff where women dress up with the fascinators, the fascinators, or the big kind of decorative hats, maybe an event like that, because it's not really going to offend anyone, and it is classic and very pretty. It gives off a very pretty classic edge, elegant edge, but to me personally, it is not memorable. This is something that I don't remember. I can remember La Nuit Trésor, but this is a little bit forgettable personally for myself. Okay, I've been letting this sit for a while now, and just like last night, okay, I get the cedar wood. I can smell that coming in a little early, in my opinion. I could smell the cassis. In my opinion, the musk in this is extremely subtle. So on this box here for Trésor Midnight Rose, they have a description. It says, magical time when the rose becomes mysterious and addictive for an utterly irresistible game of seduction. Delicious eau de parfum with natural ingredients: rose, Damascena Absolute, Blackcurrant Absolute, Virginia Cedar Essence, swept by a captivating whirl of wood raspberry. Sweet candy rose, created by one of France's leading perfumers, exclusively for the new Lancôme generation. I think they are alluding to the fact that this is more of a modern fragrance, which it is. It definitely is modern. I mean, it's elegant and classy, but it does have a more kind of modern scent to it. It was made in the 2010s, and to me, this is straight up like 2010s. This is very much like, you know, when they had Emma Watson in the adverts and stuff, this is very much the Harry Potter era or the Twilight era when those whole kind of magical movies were out, and, you know, witches, warlocks, vampires and all that kind of era. When you look at the advertising for this, it does have a little bit of a Lolita, slightly magical vibe to it. Not extremely magical. I would say more Lolita than supernatural. But it's very like elegant Lolita, very elegant Lolita. Just because I do not particularly like this doesn't mean that it's a bad perfume. It's definitely a good perfume. It is blended well. The notes seem realistic. It's a little too lightweight for me. You know, I like when I'm a weirdo that likes when the perfume stays on the clothing, and this to me, I find it disappears on my clothing, so that is kind of like not my kind of perfume. That is not my kind of thing when it comes to perfumes. Especially when I want a gourmand that's like kind of on the darker side. I definitely want that gourmand to stay on certain clothing, you know, certain like lace or a shawl, like a black shawl, or a nice kind of decorative scarf that I have. I would kind of want the perfume to stay on it a little bit, but this is too lightweight for me. It doesn't have any lasting power. I could even see myself respraying this throughout the day. When I wake up, after wearing this, when I wake up, it's very, 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 very faint. It's like it almost disappears. It almost disappears. So in my opinion, this does not have lasting power. And that is why I find it more appropriate for the daytime. I don't care about the name Midnight. Like, there's nothing midnight about this. Okay, there's nothing midnight about this. And it's very deceiving, very deceiving, because it is not vampy, in my opinion. It is not gothic enough. It is not out there enough, okay? If you are into like mugler perfumes, mugler fragrances, this might be a little too generic for you. This might be a little too predictable, a little too socially acceptable, you know. So let me see how it's going right now. The musk is very, 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 very subtle. The musk is very, very subtle. The cedarwood is still there a little bit. The cassis is there. Peony is there. The peony is there. Top notes have definitely disappeared. The raspberry, yeah. I had mentioned that this is blended well, and the quality of the ingredients used are pretty decent. It's pretty decent. And it is an eau de parfum, so it is more higher quality, okay? And it doesn't smell cheap, it doesn't smell tacky, even though I did describe it as predictable, you know, a little generic. It still doesn't smell, you know, tacky or cheap or anything like that. It still has a very elegant vibe, very ladylike vibe. This definitely gives lady, this gives sophistication, this gives elegant, classic feminine, pretty feminine. That's what it gives off to me. So the top notes in this are rose and raspberry. The middle notes are cassis, jasmine, peony, and pink pepper. And the base notes are vanilla, cedarwood, and musk. So let's see if that is accurate. I'm on the base notes with this at this point. Let me see. The musk is there. The cedarwood, Virginia cedarwood, is there. Now the vanilla. The thing with vanilla, it's already a subtle note. You know what I mean? It's kind of subtle. So it is very, very, in my opinion, the vanilla is very, 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 I don't really get any vanilla as a base note. Maybe it's my bottle, it's my formula, but let's test it out and see how the entrance is and how it progresses. Again. Okay. I'm getting a little bit of alcohol as I spray this firsthand. Okay. I get the raspberry. The rose is a very light rose. What is this? What is this? This is a dark rose. The advertising had a dark rose, but I'm telling you, in this is a very lightweight rose. It doesn't smell. I don't even know what kind of rose it is. The raspberry dominates. There's not a lot of kick to the rose at all. You know, in some fragrances you can really feel the rose stand out, but in this it's like it's in the background and it's not like, and this is very deceiving. Like this is they show like dark rose, they try to make it midnight. No. This is daytime rose. This is daytime spring spritzer, brunch in springtime, afternoon tea with the girls. Oh my goodness. Very deceiving. And I wanted it to be like a dark gourmand, and it's not. Okay, now the middle notes are coming through. Let's see if the middle notes are living up to its description. Okay, so the cassis is there. I definitely get the cassis. The jasmine is actually, it's there, but it's not as strong as it could be compared to other fragrances. Peony is prominent to me. The peony is definitely prominent. You definitely have to be into pink pepper if you say you're going for this perfume, okay? Because I get a lot of pink pepper with this. Even kind of in the entrance, I get a lot of pink pepper. And now that it's developing into the middle notes, that pink pepper is really strong. I notice Out of all the notes that last the most, I would say the cassis, peony, pink pepper, a little bit of the raspberry, all of those kind of last the most, and then the cedarwood. Those are like the notes that last the most in my opinion. The musk and the vanilla is just very subtle. Let me see on this hand. This hand I had sprayed a while ago, so this will definitely be base note kind of vibes. I could barely smell it because this is a very weak, it's a weaker Trésor in my opinion. It's not like strong like other Trésors. So even though I had sprayed this earlier, it's not coming through at all. I could smell the vanilla, but I have to like press my nose into my arm to really smell it. So it's subtle, but that can be a good thing depending on your location and who you're around and stuff like that. I get the cedarwood. The musk is maybe like it's kind of like a white musk, like a very subtle musk, not a dark musk, but a light musk, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I won't be ever wearing this at nighttime. Never, never, never. As soon as 5 p.m. hits, I will be switching to a darker perfume. It could be a darker gourmand, it could be a unisex scent, it could be something more gothic, whatever it is. I just won't be wearing this at nighttime, and I won't be wearing this in the evenings. It's just too bridesmaid, like I said. Very bridesmaid, very... It's approachable, which is good, you know. It's friendly, it's approachable, feminine, elegant, but it doesn't have a kind of a oomph. Like, it doesn't have like an it girl vibe to it, you know. It doesn't have anything that makes it stand out from the crowd. It's just very safe and very sweet, gourmand, refreshing, fruity, floral. But what I will say though with this is that thankfully the florals are not overpowering. So in certain fragrances and perfumes, the florals can be too strong, too overpowering, and they kind of like make the other notes disappear or just not be heard. So what I like about this is that even though it has jasmine can be quite potent, quite strong, and you have to be careful with the amount of jasmine you add. I find that with this, they didn't overdo the jasmine, which is what I like. The peony is definitely something I notice, but it complements this fragrance really well, and that peony definitely makes this, in my opinion, more of a daytime scent. And yeah, even the jasmine makes it, to me, makes it more of like a daytime scent. The cedarwood is the strongest base note in my opinion. The musk and the vanilla, like I said, not really there. Let me see if the pink pepper is still around. The pink pepper is still around, yeah. And the raspberry, the rose, I don't know what kind of rose it is, but it's not a memorable rose. It's very lightweight. This arm is a little newer than this arm, so let's see how it's going. It's smelling very fruity right now, very fruity. If you enjoy this scent, I personally would not spray it on my clothing or my linens, but if you think this is a nice scent for yourself, then you could spray it on your bed sheets and stuff, you know. The perfume to really dissect and get into would be La Nuit Trésor, because this doesn't hold a candle to La Nuit Trésor at all whatsoever. This is a very kind of watered down Trésor in my opinion. So La Nuit Trésor is the ultimate, you know, powerhouse, the ultimate fragrance that appeal to women of all walks of life. And whoa, 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 she's a lady. This is like that song, She's a Lady, like very ladylike, very feminine, girly, elegant, classic. Someone that does not, someone that doesn't like too much trouble. Someone that doesn't like too much trouble. This is someone who plays it safe. You know what I'm saying? This is someone who plays it safe.
Maybe that's why so many people like it. I don't really know, because I don't really get the hype with this at all. I mean, they didn't mess up with the notes, I guess. I mean, they didn't really mess up with the notes, I suppose. They didn't really make anything smell cheap and tacky. I guess that is a win, but other than that, I don't see it being something that is going to make you stand out or make you be noticed too much. It's just, I guess with this one, it has mass appeal to many different women because it's just a classic feminine scent. It is a gourmand floral, a sweet floral, and that is its appeal in a way, that it is just very kind of simple and elegant, not too many notes overcrowding it, but certainly not my cup of tea, like I mentioned before. There's not enough darkness to this, and you can see like they have this kind of dark purple. You could see there's like a dark purple end at the bottom, and then you see the rose there. They have this dark rose, but like I said earlier, they should replace this purple rose and they should put like a light pink one, or they should put like a light violet rose instead of a dark vampy rose. Because the thing is with La Nuit Trésor, it lives up to its name, the night, la nuit. You know, the French is, in French it's la nuit, in English it is the night, in Espanol, la noche. So with La Nuit Trésor, that perfume actually lives up to its name. It is dark. It is gourmand and sweet, but it has a dark rose to it. It has a darkness to it, and it lives up to the dark name that they gave it. It lives up to the packaging, the advertising for it. So it is kind of an accurate representation, but this, in my opinion, is not an accurate representation, because I can only see myself wearing this from morning to afternoon. After that, I'm putting it away. Okay? This is going to be put away, and I'm going to get something. Let me show you what I'm going to get for the evenings and nighttime. And this is like elegant. This is lady. But this is a little more seductive. And it's called Modest by Afnan. Modest. This is called Modest by Afnan. It is an Arabian perfume. And let me show you the packaging. That's how these United Arab Emirates, these Arabic people do it. They have like a full-on box. Like they are extra with their presentation, their packaging. Okay, look at this. Now, I'm kind of like a perfume buff, a perfume obsessed freak, I guess, to the point where I look at the vintage perfume ads. And in the 1920s and in the 1910s, the 1930s, the packaging for perfume in Europe used to be like this, or used to be glass with metal and very ornate, very elaborate, very like you feel like you're kind of transported on a journey, or you're like reading a book, whatever it is. You feel like you're in a little fairy tale or something. You know, it has some kind of aesthetic, some vibe, but you know, when you compare the two, you know, the Saudis, the Dubai kind of perfume houses and stuff, they still maintain the presentation. They still focus on that element. This is not the most expensive Arabian perfume, okay? This is very, very affordable. But just, okay, let me show you this. This is what perfumes used to be presented as in Europe. They used to have presentation like this. They used to have a kind of they were exclusive. It was definitely for a certain clientele in those days. It was definitely for, you know, the more upper class and stuff like that in Europe at the time. But that's how they displayed their perfume in the 1910s and 1920s, 1930s. They used to have like, they used to make it, you know, something special. When you bought the perfume, you really felt like it was something special. And with the kind of Arabian perfumes, you kind of get that vibe a little bit. You kind of get that vibe compared to the cheap packaging that Lancôme has now, and you know, other European fragrances, not the niche ones. Certain niche European fragrances still take care with their design, their packaging, the vibe, the feel of the product, but you can really tell the difference, you know, when you buy the Arabian ones, because they make it feel like an experience, okay? They make it feel like something that is truly special, truly unique and special and timeless and just very interesting. And I don't want to get into all the details. This will be for another video. But to me, I actually said, you know what? I'm going to put down the La Nuit Trésor and I'm going to this instead, because something about this is just so amazing. Oh my God. It's like, it's everything you want in a dark gourmand. Everything you want in a dark gourmand. It is just, I have to save it for the video. I have to save it for the video because this is everything. This is like everything. And La Nuit Trésor is good, but it's on equal level with this actually. But to me, this is like me. This is like, I feel this perfume was made for myself because this is just so freaking delicious. It is really nice. It is blended so well. I'm trying not to freak out because that's how amazing this is, okay? This is not completely identical to La Nuit Trésor in terms of notes. The notes are different in this, but since La Nuit Trésor is a dark gourmand and this is a dark gourmand, people kind of describe it as a dupe. This is horse show, where you get dressed up in your nice dress and your fascinator, and you know, those hat show competitions at the horse racing events or polo events or dog racing. You know, those kind of British. If you've lived in the UK, you will know what I'm talking about with the kind of horse racing shows and all. That's very a British thing, very more European. Even though they have it in Canada and the US, but you know, to me it's more British. And I lived in Ireland, so I understand that whole scene, as they say. I remember in Ireland they used to bet on the horses. They'll bet on the horses. They will bet on the dogs. Whatever, you know, if they want to get money, they will bet. And besides that, there was also like people selling crafts, people selling food and stuff. And then they had a hat competition with the ladies. So whoever had like the most interesting hat. Some women would make their hats, and some women would go to a special hat maker who specializes in really nice, unique designs. So it was a competition like who had the best outfit and matching hat. Usually most of the time, the hat would kind of match the outfit. So even though the Irish like to say, oh, we hate the Brits, we hate the monarchy and all that, and they still kind of adopted some of that kind of those British ways, you know, the monarchy's ways. I can definitely see people wearing this at those types of events, weddings, horse racing, brunch, afternoon tea. Not high tea, okay? Afternoon tea. You know, it's a little more elegant. It's a little more classy. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Do check out my other perfume reviews on my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers!